What's going on, everybody? So, I'm a dumbass. For those of you that are married the first time, where you realize that will save a lot of years of marriage and conversations and dialogue. Having said that, I'll explain why I'm a dumbass. It has to do with phone mounts. But let's get into it. Toby Northern YouTube. So, I've been using I'll get close to this, the Tackform motorcycle, or Tackform handlebar mount. It's not a bad mount at all. Very good mount. Because I'm the kind of person, I like to have a mount that doesn't require me to change a phone case in order to clip it onto like the Quad Lock does, okay? So no knock on Quad Lock, that's my personal preference. But recently I put an OtterBox on my phone. Well, it barely fit into that Tackform mount. So on the road back from Sturgis using my dad's bike, we got a hold of a Ciro3D version, the smaller one of the versions of Ciro3D's phone mounts. It's not a bad one, worked great, but a little while back I won, courtesy of Road Glad Andy, I won the Cyber Charger, Ciro3D Cyber Charger phone mount, right? The phone carrier. And all this time, I have not put it on my bike for mainly one reason. Because of this Tackform, I like the simplicity of the Tackform. It's a simple clamp on, clamp off, the clapper.
Clap on, clap off, clap on, clap off, the clapper.
But I thought that the way the phone sat in the housing and the clamp of the Cyber Charger, the way the phone sits in here, this is the picture, of course, I thought that this piece of this arm here was too high up, sat too high up on my phone side, and was hitting the lock button on my side of my phone. Okay, little bit unbeknownst to me, and now that I'm even looking at the box, even more of a dumbass, it says adjustable bottom foot to accommodate a variety of phone heights. I never saw that. I never looked at it. I never read it. I just saw, ooh, cool, Ciro3D, pretty green colors, you know? So we're gonna put that on the bike today. Oh, and a disclaimer piece here. The only thing I've ever said bad about Tackform, and I've talked to them about this, is that they don't have a powered version of their phone charger. They told me that one is coming out, but I'm not gonna wait for that. So they are solid. We've had them on our bikes since 2018 or 19. They're great. They work strong. The little pads come off a little bit. That's because the glue's all hot and they wear and tear. But overall, aside from it not being a power charger, it's a good phone mount. We've ridden them all in several different terrains: rocks, grass, gravel, road, regular blacktop, whatever, bumpy roads, and they've done great. So again, my only qualm is it's not power charger. Most people will say, well, you run a power charger through a USB cord onto an AC adapter on the bike, and you can plug it up. Well, yes, that's true, and that's what I've been doing for years. But this is one way to remove another cord or power cord running all over my bike. So let's get into this. So rather than do a step-by-step, you watching me on the video, I'm going to kind of do the pieces but talk you through. So as you already saw me show you, we have the Ciro3D box there with everything in it. So going to take off the seat, right? That's part of it. Take off the tank. Taking off the seat is a very simple thing. Anybody can do it. It's just a matter of whether you have a two-piece or one-piece seat. For the tank, well, we'll get into that in just a second. All right, so see this here, look here. Have the seat off, okay? So to take the tank off, you gotta undo this bolt here. I'm sorry, there's one bolt here, one bolt here, and these are torque bolts. And then there are two bolts down in here I don't have a flashlight right now, so I'll do that. But there's a torque bolt right here at where the tank, I don't know if you can see that. But there's a torque bolt here on this side and the same exact bolt on the other side. Once you get those undone, you have to undo the fuel line right here, okay? And that's just a matter of pulling this down. You want to have a cloth or something around it, and when you pull this down, it's kind of like a catch and release. You pull this down, it uncouples from the spout, the valve on the fuel tank, and then you just pull it down. And then the actual tank itself just lifts right off with some finagling. So the only thing you really got to do is make sure that the fuel runoff valve is out, and that the wires connecting anything you have, front lights and all that kind of stuff, are also disconnected. And that's really about it. I mean, you just make sure all the wires are disconnected. So it's pretty simple. Personally, I think once I get this thing done, hardest part's going to be getting through all this spider web of Ciro3D and custom dynamics wiring I have for lighting to get to the battery. Okay. Oh shit. Alright, let's try this again. So I told you about the bolts on the tank. We're going to show you that before, as I see now before that I didn't have the bars turned very well, and I also didn't have it displaying very clearly for you. So this bolt right here has a mirror on the other side, mirror bolt on the other side. When you first have these, they are covered up by these little doohickeys, okay? They're covered up by these. It's just a simple little wedged on type thing. All you do is you pull off and undo from there, and they come right off. No tools required. But again, those two bolts, one here and one on the other side. All right, so before I go taking the tank off, I thought I'd show you very quickly recap of what I just did, okay? So here we go. So disconnected these two wires. All they are is Deutsch plugs that go to the front electrical stuff and stuff running the battery. This is a fuel line that you just have to disconnect from this rubber piece right here, okay? Really, ultimately, that's just I think that's just a fuel runoff valve that goes straight up to the end of the tank, into here. When you're filling up, it runs excess fuel that overflows. And then this one as well was also some kind of a runoff that was filtered down through here, which is supposed to, and I'll run it back. But you got it. Some of them have zip tied down to other cables, some don't. And then I did the bolts, as I said before, took them off already. And then the main thing also I want to point out was the fuel piece. So it's this piece here, right? And all it is you pulling this silver piece down so that you can disconnect this inside. Like I said, recommend you have a towel, shop cloth, or something that you can put here as you pull and work this loose. It's not difficult, but you know, just in case you have a little fuel spillage, whatever, so you don't get all over your bike. So now we'll get the tank off, and I'll talk you through the next steps. All right, tank is off. Everything's disconnected as far as that tank is concerned. So the next piece is, we'll show you this now. The next piece, in my opinion, is kind of the hardest part. The next piece is clearing this away so that I can get the ECM off of the battery, so that I can connect the wires for the Ciro3D phone holder. And then we're gonna clip these and run them up okay, so you kind of have two options here, depending upon the kind of person you are or what's important to you, okay? And it's no knock on anybody, but you can either clip these ties and open this up, because all your wiring harness is under here, okay? You can open this up and run it up through here and under here, under the handlebars and all that, up your bars, okay? You can do that, or you can kind of go the lazy way. I'm not going to say lazy way. We will say you can kind of go the path of least resistance and just run it up along top of this thing, on top of the cover, right? and then run it up same route, okay? It is entirely up to you which way you go. I am choosing to run it under the cover. So here goes the fun stuff. That other stuff was kind of the physical stuff. To me, this is the fun stuff. Not really. All right, we're back. So after some other finagling and stuff, here's the deal. So, and I'm gonna turn my light on the light so you can see this. Got the ECM off. There's your two battery connections, positive, negative. And again, as I said before, I chose to go ahead and undo the cover for the wiring. You don't have to take the whole thing off because there's a mess of wires under there. You can, here's the cord for the actual thing, and I'm just going to kind of slide it and feed it under all the way up, and I'm going to route it through the side of the handlebars and up to that spot there. So, but that's next. Again, it was just some zip ties down here, and then these clip into place automatically, but you can just slip the wire in and run it wherever you want to run it from there. Okay, so for full disclosure, I forgot to tell you something. Didn't really forget. It's, again, this is an option, okay? I'm going to remove the gauge cluster here, because that's where all the wires from here are coming out for the handlebars, and that's the best way to keep, you know, I don't want to say professional looking because here we're anything but I'm going to take this off. Real simple. I'm going to pop this out. Two torque screws here, and identical on the other side. You pop it out. There's a couple of Deutsch connectors that's behind here that control the speeds and the lights and all that shit. Once you disconnect those, it comes right off, and then you just run it however you want to do it. All right, so let's show you what we've done so far. The hell, did I leave the battery? Oh, okay, there we go. All right, so here's the wire that's going to go for the Ciro3D, positive, negative. I haven't messed with it yet. I'm not going to. Got it run up through here. I undid the cluster gauge like I talked about. Run it right up under here, under the fork bolts and fork mounts and risers and bushings and all that shit. And you feed it through, and you can probably see the wire moving. It's right here. Feed it through the side like where the front brake cable comes out. And I'm just gonna Velcro it on, or zip Velcro, listen to me. I'm gonna zip tie it onto the brake cable and fasten it right there. And then once that's done, I've got enough feed for it, I will slide it underneath this cover all the way down and then go ahead and connect it. So, side note, I just realized as a default, I'm actually going to hook it all up and make sure it charges first before I continue any further connection, because that would really suck to get all this way done and it didn't do anything good. Here we go. Okay, good news and bad news. We have hooked up the wires to double check it. It's all right here. Run it through, and then I put the phone inside it and turned the bike on, then it indicated a charge was there, so we're good to go on that. The bad news is, there's not really bad news. I don't know, just being dramatic. Yeah, she said just being dramatic. It's like you want to, you know, I don't know, let's just get it done. Alright, so here you go. I haven't put the instrument panel cluster back on yet because I don't really need to in this case. Just showing you how I ran it, zip tied up a couple bits here. Got it all zip tied back up, put the wiring back together, put the ECM back on, and the cover. Now I'm just going to show you that it works. So here's this, live connection. Boom, there you go, it's charging. And once, of course, I get it in there clamped, it'll charge faster, charge more securely, whatever. But that's basically it. So now it's just a matter of putting the instrument panel back on, the instrument cluster back on, the gauge, the tank, the seat, and getting everything reversed back to where it was. I'm not going to go through all that. I'll show you the finished product, the final product, but basically you're reversing everything you just did, except for what you installed. Be back in a minute. All right, so I'm leaving the seat off because I have another project I want to do, but now you can see the finished situation. Tank's all back on, everything's plugged back in again. Let's see, turn some light on for you. Back on, all hooked back up, and this is on. I wanted to point out one important factor here, okay? This is for those of you that don't think about this, because I didn't until just now. So once you've got that thing, that Cyber Charger plugged into your battery, if you plug it in to that Cyber Charger, that is a constant draw on your battery. So I would highly recommend, if you're not going to use it to ride your bike, and I'm probably going to forget at least once, but make sure you unplug your Cyber Charger when you're not on a bike. Just saying, it's not that big of a draw, but it's enough to where if you don't ride your bike for 3 or 4 days, you risk draining your battery. Okay, just food for thought. If you keep it on tender, you know, you may not have anything to worry about, but just food for thought. Anyway, that's all done. Hey guys, just wanted to give you a couple of updates about this project since I finished that installation. So one, and I'm going to show you the picture of it here, the wire for the Cyber Charger that runs the battery, it has a fuse piece on it, a fuse pocket, if you will. And after installing it at one point when I was adjusting, I blew the fuse. The fuse, it comes with a 4 amp fuse automatically with it. And me calling around, checking around, I was hard to find 4 amp fuses. However, I called Ciro3D directly and they said that 5 amp fuses, yes, it's 1 amp more, they will work just fine with the Ciro3D Cyber Charger, 5 amp fuses. The challenge most people will tell you is putting a higher amp fuse inside a fuse slot that only requires a 4 amp or 20 amp or whatever. You go higher than that, you risk damaging the wires, because it means the amperage in the fuse can take more than the wires are able to, the load the wires are able to sustain. So again, 4 amp fuse is what was in there. I was able to find some 4 amp fuses and got them. However, they did tell me, like I said, I spoke with Ciro3D on the phone and they said 5 amp fuses will work. But I also didn't show you a finished version. The other part of this thing I wanted to show is I changed from a handlebar mount to a perch mount. And as you can see, the perch mount gives me more versatility in the positioning of how I want to operate or position the phone mount on my bars for both my own viewing, controlling, and visibility. And as you can see, it works just fine. As you can see, it just says right there, charging. Pretty simple. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to put them in the comments below. Happy to answer everything I see. Huge shout out, thank you to Roguelite Andy for the free charger that I won, I guess, in a drawing a while back. I finally got it on there. Huge shout out to Ciro3D, badass charger, badass Cyber Charger. Until the next video, you guys stay safe, ride safe, stay healthy, and God bless.